What's up, everyone? Welcome into episode number 487, where it is my honor and privilege to introduce a special guest joining this episode who is from Michigan but swims at Texas A&M, Ben Sytsma. How are you doing, Ben?
Good. How are you? It's good to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you're able to join after Saturday college football week too. I know your Aggies got the win. I know we
Yes.
got some Michigan State stuff to talk about for my podcast a little bit later with Oklahoma, all that kind of stuff. But how's your Sunday doing? I know you're a Lions fan, so we got Lions in probably about 4 hours here. So yeah, how's things been going over in Texas?
Yeah, it's going good. Our season just started up, so definitely hitting a good recovery day today. Yeah, watching the Lions tonight. Hopefully they can pull out the win. It's a tough game to be honest, but we'll see how we do. Yeah, other than that, I'm doing great. School's starting up too, so getting back into the flow of things. Yeah.
Yeah, so you did say that you just started practice and it's kind of like a recovery day. Do you guys practice like six days a week, 5 days a week? Is Sunday basically your off day?
Yeah, so Saturday we'll only do a single, but we do practice 6 days a week. Sunday is kind of the day of rest, if you will, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I feel like they have to give you at least some rest, but also probably the Saturday practices, I would assume, are pretty nice comparatively to having to do doubles. I'm sure that you guys probably do those at least a couple of times a week.
Yeah, we'll do three doubles a week and then three singles a week, along with like lifts and dry land kind of scattered all in there. It really depends on the week.
So basically, what you're telling me is it's almost like a full-time job for the most part,
No,
plus being a student as well.
honestly, it really is. It really is a full-time job. Like the amount, because not only you have the training hours, but then like occasionally you'll have the meetings, and then obviously like there's a lot more that goes into it than just showing up to practice. So I consider it a job. Um, you'd have to ask other people what they think of that, but I would say it's definitely takes up quite a few hours of my week, but I
You
love
have
it.
to love it though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. So
Exactly, and you're also headed into your second year at Texas A&M. Are you kind of getting used to it a little bit? Obviously, like, did it take you a little while to get used to kind of the format of it, like how much time you put into it? Because obviously you've been swimming for a while, but this is probably completely different than anything you've experienced before.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's it's completely different. Like the amount of intensity in training, and then along with just the school aspect of it, like having to study so much more than I did in high school. Um, it's definitely an adjustment. Freshman year was like it was a good challenge. Don't get me wrong, but it was definitely a challenge. So, um, just having to figure out how to manage my time like that was definitely a huge adjustment. But now that I'm going into like my second year of it, I've kind of got the schedule down. I know where everything is. Like I know campus a bit better. I kind of know how the first couple weeks of the season go. Just having that prior knowledge, I feel like a bit more experience. Obviously, I still don't have everything totally figured out yet, but it's definitely nice. And like socially wise, I'm a bit more out of my shell. I was a bit nervous because I mean, Michigan to Texas, that's a pretty far distance. It was about an 18-hour drive. So just being away from home like that was a little nerve-wracking too, but I think we're kind of settled down here. I'm really excited going into both the school year and the swim year, so that is good. Yeah, definitely more used to things now.
Yeah, no, which is absolutely great, right? Like it's good to be like comfortable, kind of get your feet on the ground, just kind of get out and running, which obviously is exactly what you're doing right now. But you talked about the challenges of last year, and obviously through challenges, there's growth, there's getting better. It's about pushing you, all that kind of stuff. But did you ever imagine your freshman year going the way that it did? Because you were a part of a 200 relay that ended up taking eighth in the country at NCAA championships, which as a freshman Like that in itself, one is crazy to get eighth, but as a freshman contributing to that, like, could you ever imagine, like, after your high school career, having that expectations, having that hope of contributing as a freshman?
Yeah, it's still kinda, like, surreal to talk about it. It's weird, it hasn't really fully set into me yet, but it was just such a crazy opportunity getting to go as I was a relay alternate at first, and then they told me I was on the relay, swam it, and we got 8th place. It was, like, the most incredible feeling ever, and yeah, at the beginning of the year, I would have never thought I would have gotten to go not only go, but also contribute to, like, an All-American relay. It was absolutely crazy. Like, that meet is obviously, like, yeah, NCAAs, like, people know it's a huge meet, but you really don't know until, like, you go and you're like, "Wow, that person is an Olympian. That person competed at world championships. That person was, like, a world junior champion." It's insane. It's, like, all these famous people, and they're just competing with you.
I was just gonna say, is that intimidating, or do you kind of look at them in awe a little bit, kind of being in that position, or more at that point you're kind of used to a little bit of competing against those type of swimmers? Because obviously you're really good in yourself. Like you're swimming D1 for a reason, but there's a little bit of a difference between swimming with, let's just say, I don't want to say average D1 swimmer because I feel like that's not giving you guys enough credit, but you're also competing against, like you're saying, the best in the world.
Yeah. It's definitely weird. I think if it was just kind of I got set into NCAAs right away, it would be a lot stranger. But I mean, obviously, throughout the year, we have dual meets, we have invite conference championships. So that you kind of get a taste because we'll go against another SEC team and they'll have like some like quote unquote famous swimmer on it. And it's like, oh, okay. So they're just a guy like me. They're just they just happen to be really good at swimming. So I think if I was kind of just dropped into that meet, it would be a lot stranger. But since I kind of had the prior experience and obviously like I'm like thinking about it and visualizing, okay, there's going to be a lot of fast guys here. It wasn't that incredibly strange. It
Okay.
was almost surreal to me though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you talked about how you were an alternate in that relay. Talk a little bit about that conversation once you find out that you're not only an alternate, you're going to be in that relay. Like, is there nerves that set in? Is there butterflies? Or is it more of just like, okay, here's my opportunity, let's go?
Yeah, it was definitely I I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. Especially since I was anchoring. So that in itself I feel like is already quite a lot of pressure. And then added on to the fact that it's at that meet of all meets. So there was a lot of pressure, but really my mindset going into it was do I want to let this pressure get to me? Like this is such an amazing opportunity. And I was thinking about like, okay, what's the best this could go? Like if I can be the best athlete that I can be, then what is that going to look like for this relay team? And we ended up getting 8th place, which is like now I get to be a part of that because I was up for the challenge and I kind of like set myself up mindset wise for that.
And you also get a trophy as well for being an
Yeah.
All American.
Yeah. I wonder if you can, it's right
Oh,
there.
I was going to ask you where it was.
In
Love
case you
that.
can't
That's
see it, yeah,
great.
I have it right up there. So
Is that one of the greatest achievements you've had so far in your swimming career? I know you've won couple state championships. We'll talk about like high school stuff like that. But where does being an All American in college on a relay compare to winning a state champion in Michigan?
I would say there's almost no comparison. I mean, like the competition's way more intense than it could ever be at a high school level. And obviously like 8th place isn't a champion. Like you're not the champion, but just kind of like the story that built up to it and the competition that's there. Being an all-American, like I feel like that beats out anything that I've done previously.
Yeah, and also you're an All American for a reason. Like you're one of the best. Like let me do math here. 32, like in a relay, one of the best like 32 swimmers regarding there. Like it's for a reason that you're an All-American. And obviously you still have 3 years ahead of yourself. Hopefully you can get a few more All-Americans. They will definitely talk about more college, more talking about Texas A&M, but I want to get into a little bit of prior to Texas A&M. Like when did you realize that not only like were you like good at swimming, but like was there like a moment that like kind of hit you that you're like, I'm a little bit different. Like I'm a little bit faster than maybe like the average swimmer.
Yeah, so I would say that kind of happened my sophomore year of high school. My freshman year, I definitely I was pretty decent at swimming. I wasn't anything crazy. But I was good enough where I wanted to kind of continue. Okay, like I'll do year round. Like I'll play a couple other sports just for fun, but like I'll focus on swim a lot. Like it was definitely my best sport. Um, Sophomore year, definitely after high school season, I had some big time drops, and that was my first time winning um any state meet at all. And we obviously had a pretty good team too. We won some relays, and that was kind of my first I could that was like my first moment of, okay, maybe I could swim in college. Like maybe I could continue this if I still have a good trajectory into junior and senior year, maybe I could kind of continue going on. I would have never thought D1 was an option. I mean, obviously I had the goals and aspirations like, oh, it'd be cool to swim at that high of a level. But sophomore year is kind of when I started thinking about swimming at the collegiate level. And then junior year, kind of after high school states, after the club season was more so when I pictured more of a D1 school where I was like, okay, I can compete at a high level. Let me see where I can go.
Did something like click during that time? Was it like form? Was it like did you grow quite a bit? Or was it more of just like you finally started to kind of realize like potential that you had? Like was it like a coach that kind of pushed you a little bit more? Or was it just one of those random things that it just happened like you don't know exactly why, but like you just kicked into gear and that's the end of the story?
Yeah, so I'm naturally very tall. I'm 6'5". So that's kind of my freshman to sophomore year is kind of when I hit a bit of a growth spurt. Um, I don't want to attribute everything to that, but that definitely helped a little bit. I think just the biggest thing I can really say is just kind of getting into the flow of training. Um, my freshman year obviously was a little like freshman year of high school was obviously a little bit of an adjustment. It was like new practice schedule, haven't my first high school sport, hadn't really known what it was like. And then obviously that was 2021, so it was still with all like the COVID implications. So sophomore year was my first kind of full year. I knew what I was doing. There was no more restrictions. I kind of just got into the flow of training. Wasn't doing like any intensive lifting programs or anything. I kind of just set into the flow of things, and I think that's what helped me a lot. It wasn't like I was mentally strained in any way. I was just enjoying myself, having fun with it. Um, which I think is a super important thing that gets overlooked a lot. So I would attribute a lot of my success to that.
Yeah, and it's one of the things about like when you kind of like start to like enjoy your sport. I'm not saying you didn't prior, but when you kind of just start getting into it, starting to enjoy it, and then you start seeing that potential, and then you start winning state championships. Then you start seeing schools calling, emails, stuff comes in. Like there has to be so much going on in your head during that time. Like it had to be like overwhelming, not only winning state championships, but also having like schools be like, hey, we want you. Like, I'm sure it's a cool feeling, right? Like, I'm sure you're probably like, this is the greatest feeling in the world. Like, there's so many schools or there's D1 schools that want me, but at the same time, like, was it a little overwhelming or was it more of just like an enjoyable process where you're like, hey, like I've won a state championship and I'm going to be swimming D1?
It it was definitely overwhelming. I mean, because you think about it, you go from just kind of having fun in high school. I mean, school's obviously how you make it. Like, it can be challenging if you take hard classes, but for the most part, it's not really anything too crazy. Um, so you go from that kind of um, and being on top of the world, like winning state championships, like you're the best in that meet. And then you get a college email you, and it's like there's a whole nother world that you had no idea about. And just having to think about that, not only from a swim perspective, but also, wow, okay, school keeps going, and like my life will go on after high school. Um, and yeah, it does not necessarily get easier from there was kind of a scary thought. I mean, it's not something you're normally thinking about. A lot of sophomores or juniors in high school sometimes haven't even started thinking about college yet, and then you're an athlete who's getting colleges who want you to go there. So it's definitely a unique scenario, and it's a little overwhelming sometimes, but it's also a cool place to be in where it's like, wow, I'm good enough at my sport where I can go across the nation and possibly compete for somebody. So it's cool. It's a little overwhelming, but it was definitely like super surreal to have that happen.
And you talked about obviously like high school, like having fun, like classes, stuff like that. But like when you finally start kind of getting that traction a little bit and wanting those schools across the country that really want you to swim, and turns out you actually went to one of them legitimately across the country from Michigan. Is that like really when it kind of starts to switch a little bit? Like you have to have a little bit of a different mentality, mindset. Like, is that when it truly kind of starts? I don't want to say starts feeling like a job, but you might have to approach it a little bit different. Like, it's still supposed to be fun. You're still hanging out with your friends, but now you have expectations on yourself. And we'll talk about expectations at Texas A&M because I'm sure it's quite a bit different than prior to Texas A&M. But is that really like the moment when like things started to change? Like you looked at swimming a little bit differently?
Yeah, I would say especially when I got my first few emails from colleges, like from bigger Division 1 schools, was when I would say the switch kind of flipped in my head of, wow, this could pay for my college. This could be like a important part of my life that I need to focus on a lot. Um, I always try to kind of have the mindset, yeah, this is my job, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna enjoy it any less. Like I love the sport of swimming. I think there's like such an art to it. Um, but yeah, definitely the switch flipped from it being kind of just a hobby of mine to, okay, let me focus on this really heavily and be the best I can be at it.
Yeah, and I think your point of like, yes, there is that switch that happens, but still wanting to enjoy it is extremely important as well. Because I feel like when that switch happens for some people, it again becomes more of a job, right? Like, and maybe they lose the fact that they enjoy it. Maybe it's like super serious the whole point. But I think with you, the way that you approached it probably really helped when it came to the transition to swimming in college. Do you think that was a few like key factors that maybe made that transition a little bit easier? I want to put the word easier because I'm sure that transition was not easy whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a difficult transition, just all of those things added up with the fact that I'm so far away. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I just love this sport, it's just like moving away for a job. Like if you move away for a job that you're gonna like truly love, it does make it easier. It doesn't make it easy. Like it's still a difficult transition either way, but definitely the fact that I I wanna say obsession with the sport, even though that might sound a little weird, but it's just like an obsession with kind of knowing more about the sport, knowing more people in the sport, knowing more like facts about the sport and just being better at it definitely helps a lot because then it gives you that drive that kind of makes you ignore the other outside factors.
Yeah, and I feel like that word might have a little bit of maybe a stigma behind it. Like someone might hear that and say, that's weird to have an obsession about swimming, but you really have to think about like college athletes as a whole, D1, D2, D3. Like you have to have some sort of like obsession or mindset about your sport in order to do it because you have the physical toll, the mental toll that takes on you. And I'm sure probably at the D1 level, it's probably magnified compared to maybe the D2, D3. I don't obviously want to have any hate or have any like slack on any of those divisions because like anyone that performs in college is a really good athlete in itself. But like you have the expectations, you have the mental toughness that has to deal with it. Like how different is that at the D1 level when you're kind of making that transition, the physical toll, the mental toll that it takes on you, having that expectation?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just the pressure you kind of have. Depending on what club you're from, obviously there's some pretty elite clubs out there that have a lot of high level athletes, but I would say college is most people's first experience being on an elite team where everyone is good in their own way. Obviously, there's different events. And I mean, being a sprinter, like I'm not going to be able to do as good as the distance swimmers in their distance events, and they're not going to be able to sprint as good as me. But everyone is kind of good in their own discipline, like really good in their own discipline. So it's a lot of pressure where it's like, okay, I don't want to fall behind because it's really easy to see the people who are lacking in the effort category. It's easy to kind of point them out. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a mental challenge to try to stay ahead of the game. Um, Kind of always wanted to be one step ahead, not only of the competition, but also kind of yourself. You want to give yourself the best opportunity you can every day to get better.
Is that hard to kinda I don't wanna say deal with, but you go from being the best swimmer on your team, best swimmer in the state, to joining a team full of the best of whatever, the best of the state, the best of their team. Like, there has to be some difficulty of that, of having to go from being like quote unquote to the star to being part of a team full of stars.
Yeah, I think the analogy that I like a lot is big fish in a small pond, moving to a big pond. Um, it's that's kind of what I view it as, and that is a lot of times what people base their college decision on is if they want to kind of move to a big pond and be a small fish in a big pond, or if they want to stay in a smaller pond where they can be better at. My philosophy, I guess you could say, is that I just want to kind of start at the bottom and work my way up. I don't want to be the best going in. I want to have people that challenge me. I want to have people that are better than me so that I can look at them and not necessarily compare myself to them, but strive to be kind of where they are at the moment. I think it's a fine line between comparing yourself and kind of aspiring. Um, Comparison is definitely an easy thing to do in swimming. It's a pretty linear sport. There's just you're this fast and you're this fast. So it's easy to look at someone and be like, wow, they're a lot faster than me. That makes me feel bad about myself, or wow, they're a lot slower than me. Like they're not good at their sport, that kind of thing. Um, so I try to stay away from that. And more so kind of look at it in a sense of, oh, that person's a lot faster than me. Wow, I wonder what they do to get there. Like, I wonder what they had to sacrifice, how much work they're putting in, that kind of thing. So it gives you an appreciation for it.
Yeah, and I love that mindset because it's one of those sports like you mentioned like you're going to be focusing on time. Like whatever your time is, that's going to be what you're going to be counting on. That's going to be what people are going to be talking about. There's other sports where you might have one good game, you might have one bad game, but you're still a quote unquote good player. But like in swimming, it's about time. And you look at that, you have that expectation, you have that like, hey, this person is much faster than me. Like there's that kind of like going back and forth, like you're talking about. You don't want to compare yourself to them, but you want to continue to build your way up, which I think is really great that you have that mindset. It's one of the
Mhm.
things that will probably continue to work out well for you in the next couple of years.
I hope so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you talk about just the difficulty of the sport. I want to kind of ask one question before we kind of get into like I know you've been dealing with injuries recently. We'll talk about Texas A&M. Kind of like, did you know very much like how big it was? Kind of like how big swimming was. But like, let's talk a little bit about difficulty. Like, what's one practice or one set that you've dealt with at Texas A&M that you'll never forget? Like, what's one of the hardest sets that you're like, when you went through it, you're like, I've never had anything like that? Or is there nothing truly like that? I don't want to say bad, but that bad.
Yeah, I mean, during conditioning week, obviously it's going to be hard either way, but being a sprinter and having to do a lot of distance sets is a huge challenge. I'd say the hardest one I can remember um would probably be it was a long course set and it was just 31's best average, 3100's best average. um, on the 130. So not like a crazy interval or anything, but just having to do best average, like as fast as you can go, holding for 3100s is a huge challenge. That's not a set that I would normally do, which is probably why I found it so challenging. I think sprinting wise, a really hard set we do is it's called a lactate set. We'll put on like the tech suits and everything and we'll go off the blocks and it's 850s on 8 minute. Um, and I think initially 8 minutes, it's like, wow, that's a ton of rest. But by number six, like you're feeling it in your legs. Like you're getting out of the pool and you're having to hobble back around to the blocks. Um, that's probably I would say is the most physically strenuous set I've ever done. Um, Mentally, definitely the 3100s, though, having to hold yourself to, okay, I need to go this speed, all 30 of them, is super challenging. And then obviously having to hit your kick count and your stroke count on all of them too. We have to do 6 kicks and 8 strokes off every wall. So keeping that consistency is also hard. It's a physical challenge to say the least.
Yeah, and I'm sure they obviously hold you accountable to that. Like, I'm sure there's probably people counting. I'm sure there's probably coaches that and teammates that will probably let you know maybe if they don't think you're giving the necessarily the best effort, hitting exactly what they want you to hit either.
Yeah. And I mean, as annoying as that can be sometimes, I appreciate it because if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be, I'd appreciate to get called out for it. A lot of those sets, we'll get halfway through, and then the coaches will call us up, and we have to restart it because someone's not doing their kick count. So that accountability is, I really appreciate it, and I think it's kind of what holds our team to such a high standard to perform well. Um, because you really can't let that stuff go unnoticed.
Yeah, because you have certain expectations, you have certain goals, you have people that want to get to certain positions, and there has to be that accountability to get there.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as a swimmer, as a sprinter, would you rather have like a long break in between like each set, or would you rather just get it done? Because some people might view that as like a dumb question, but if you have a long break between sets, lactate starts to build up, which obviously isn't helpful for you either.
Yeah, I would say I definitely appreciate my rest when it comes to different sets that we do. I think the hardest sets that I've done kind of mentally have been sets where I'm hitting the wall and getting 5 seconds or 3 seconds of rest and then going back into it. Um, I do really well when I can kind of sit, recoup, and think about what's the next move. And I mean, I think a lot of people would do better that way, but I think short yards and a lot of rest. Obviously, that's the sprinter in me talking, but that's kind of where I thrive the most.
Yeah, you're definitely not wanting to do a ton of yards. I feel like that's much more of the distance mindset. I'm sure you're probably just like, hey, let's just go at it for X amount of time. Let's get over. But I'm sure distance, the swimmers are probably like, no, let's do longer. And you're probably like, no.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I appreciate the long sets every once in a while just to kind of build the endurance because I mean, you need that if you're swimming anything more than a 50, but um if it was up to me and I could have that endurance without having to do the sets, that would definitely be an easier option.
Yeah. And again, it's just the different mindset of it. It's just that you're a sprinter, mid distance, distance. It's just kind of the way that you focus on those things. But in a sprinter, there's obviously a toll that can take on like the shoulders, arms, elbows, stuff like that. I feel like one of the things that people don't talk about swimming enough is just how much of a toll the sport can take on you. And you've dealt with some injuries recently, like a shoulder injury, knee injury as well. How's the recovery been going for those? And how important is recovery, especially as a swimmer, especially for the position that you're in right now?
Yeah, so there's definitely just the physical toll, like soreness, just stress on your joints that you go through with really any sport. And I mean, recovery is a huge part of swimming. Um, Got to be doing your recovery stuff every day. It looks different for everybody. I think everyone has their own kind of thing that works for them, whether that be rolling out like a massage gun or like a cold bath or anything like that. It really depends on the person. Um, but I think every elite athlete does something in their own right to help them recover. You don't really find many people who do absolutely nothing and just let their body do it for them. You have to kind of get that boost. Talking about injuries, yeah. So I had a knee injury at the beginning of the year. I dislocated my knee and then I tore my labrum in my shoulder at the end of the year. So recovering and kind of training through that has been a little difficult. It's definitely its own process. It's its whole separate grind of PT and rehab for that. I'm just starting to get back into the pool. I'm really glad I'm practicing with the team now that the season's starting up again. Um, but yeah, just kind of working through the different flare ups. Maybe my injured side isn't as strong as my non-injured side. Working through that, it's a grind for sure, but that's what I'm here for. So
Exactly. And does it make you appreciate swimming a little bit more, kind of going through that injury, kind of being out of the pool for as long as you were? Because I'm sure probably it's one of the longest times you weren't in the pool in your entire career, and you've been swimming for probably 15, close to 20 years at this point.
yeah, definitely the longest I've been outside of a pool. After the season ended was actually when I got injured. So I would say it's probably two whole months not in the pool and then a month of just kicking and then a month starting to swim and now we're here. Um yeah, I mean it's a challenge. It's definitely a little weird. Kind of it was super weird getting back into the pool for the first time. Um just a huge adjustment, I'd say.
Yeah, and obviously with the recovery, like it does take some time. You did mention like month of kicking, kind of just starting to get back into it. And then obviously with the start of the season, there's you're going to start ramping up soon, all that kind of stuff. But it's important to obviously have like people there to support you. I'm sure the athletic trainers were there, your teammates were there. as well. Like, how supportive is like the team? Like, just like what makes basically Texas A&M swim like any like different from any other team you've been on?
Yeah. So we're very blessed to have like an athletic training staff that's so good at their job. So I'm in the training room every day, whether it's doing stuff for recovery or if I'm having like any type of treatment for my shoulder. I'm very blessed in that I get that at a school like this. Um, the team has definitely been super supportive and motivating, honestly, I would say, in the fact that they're not gonna cut me more slack than I deserve with my shoulder. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna be able to um compete at their level yet. With especially once I first got in swimming, I was doing only a couple hundred yards. So obviously they're not gonna expect me to do a huge set. But now that I'm starting to swim and starting to obviously my kick has been the driving force in how I'm practicing right now. They're not cutting me any slack on kick sets. They're not just because I got injured doesn't mean I can't kick just as fast, doesn't mean I can't try just as hard. So I appreciate that kind of not letting me sulk in my injury, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like there's still that like accountability. Like you still have to show up. You still have to do your work, but that's just kind of part of being a part of a team. Like you have that accountability there, but then you also have the fun aspect as well, the team chemistry that kind of goes on. Like, what are some like cool like traditions that you guys do at like Texas A&M as like a swim team? I know that like there's obviously like the videos go around of Texas A&M. I feel like especially for like the football ones, I feel like there's a lot of people that might necessarily make fun of it, but like it's just part of like the school. It's a part of like the culture. It's just a part of what makes Texas A&M different than any other school. And there's every school that has stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, every school has their own traditions. They'll do. I think A&M gets a lot of flack for theirs sometimes, especially their football traditions. I can't count the amount of times that my friends have made fun of me for like the yell leaders or anything like that. But really, you have to be here to kind of appreciate it. I think looking from the outside in, it definitely looks weird. Um, but being here, like you just embrace the traditions, and I think the swim team definitely participates in their own traditions. I think like we go to all the football games, we know all the cheers that the yell leaders do, and we'll do some of them like pre-meet or pre-practice. Yeah, I mean it's all our own stuff. We get some flack for it by some other schools, but I mean you just got to embrace it. That's the best part.
Yeah, and another part of the tradition is obviously the rivalry that goes on. And it's a rivalry that, let's just say, both teams don't like each other very much at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that true in swimming as well? I feel like a lot of people are going to point towards like football, like because it's Texas, Texas football, huge thing. Is that true in swimming? Is there that quote unquote dislike or is there that mutual respect? Are you going to go the mutual respect route and then maybe after we're done recording, maybe change up your answer a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a rivalry. I mean, there's a lot of online hate you'll see, especially in football. Um, I would say, of course, I mean, being recorded, I'm obviously going to say this, but I truly believe it's a mutual respect thing. Especially when it comes to swimming. A lot of the guys on Texas's team are really good friends with a lot of the guys on A&M's team because obviously both being from Texas, and I mean Austin's really not crazy far away from College Station. All things considered, I would say it's a mutual respect. There's a lot of swimmers on both teams who grew up with each other. Um, and I think the mature thing to do is kind of just respect, like, yeah, there's a rivalry going on. Like there's gonna be a little friendly banter going on, but like we're both competing at this level and we should respect each other for that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and I think that's the right mindset to have for it. Did you understand that rivalry between Texas A&M prior to Texas A&M, or does it truly take one meet or one football game against Texas to kind of fully understand what the rivalry means?
I think being an Aggie, I think you understand kind of as soon as football season starts up. No matter what sport you're in, or even if you just go to the school, I think you start to get it once football season starts up. You'll see whenever they put the camera on people, it's always horns down. Like we can be playing a completely random team and it's always horns down. So I think that's when you start to see the rivalry. Um, but again, it's all just banter. I don't think either school truly hates the other. I think it's just kind of what makes college sports in general so fun is that you have those rivalries.
Absolutely. And being from Michigan, how does it compare to Michigan State, Michigan? Is there any close comparison there? Is it quite a bit different? Is it bigger, smaller? Like, what's the comparison? I know you said you don't love comparing, especially yourself to other athletes, but I'm going to try to get you to compare Texas and Texas A&M versus Michigan and Michigan State. Or if you want to go, you can go Michigan, Ohio State as well.
I would say it's definitely pretty similar to Michigan State. I think in the past couple years, you see kind of, especially in football, Michigan has been pretty dominant over Michigan State. I mean, you'll get the games every once in a while that um, will switch, but I think that can be said pretty similarly in football. Obviously, other than last year, Texas hasn't played Texas A&M in, I don't know if it was like 15 years or something like that, but I think you can obviously, as much as I love my Aggies, you can see like Texas has been a bit more of a dominant team. So I would say it's pretty comparable to Michigan State. I mean, we have our sports that we're quite a bit better than them at, and they have their sports that they're better than us at. Um, yeah, that's what I would say.
We need to revive the rivalry in football. It needs to be something that happens every
Yeah,
year, in my opinion.
I think it's starting back up because I mean we go against them again this year, so I'm hoping that it's a regular thing again.
I hope so too. It's always fun watching that, and then obviously other rivalries that go on. But have you ever done the down celebration at Texas A&M for a meet for a relay? Have you ever done that yet, or not yet?
I mean, I can't say that I haven't done it. Um, Again, it's all just friendly. It's not anything. I've got friends on the Texas team. I don't love them any less just because they're on the Texas team. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of just something you have to do as an Aggie. Everyone has their own um kind of thing they'll do against a rival school. So I think I'd be lying if I said I didn't.
Yeah, it's just friendly banter, right? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't mean anything. Like they probably do it back to you guys, that you guys do it to them, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. Like
for
it's
sure.
just part of college athletics, right?
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it would be boring if there wasn't any rivalry or anything like that going on. So
Yeah, that's what makes college sports different than like NFL, professional leagues. Like I love the NFL, love like NBA, MLB, but it just is like the passion for the sports and passion for like the school that is just makes
yeah,
things differently. And speaking of passion, like did you realize like how big swimming was in Texas when you arrived, or did it kind of surprise you a little bit?
it definitely surprised me. I think I wasn't really well versed in the swimming world until I got here. I had been to a few big meets, like Winter Juniors is the big one I can think of, but I didn't really have too many connections. I just kind of knew swimmers in Michigan, maybe a few from the Midwest. And then obviously my future teammates who were like a lot of them from Texas. Um, but yeah, until I got here, I didn't really understand kind of the levels there are to the sport. And seeing a lot of my classmates and teammates go to these meets and they're like, "Oh yeah, I swam with that guy at this meet. I swam with this guy at for this club." It was definitely a kind of a culture shock of wow, I know basically no one. So I wasn't super into the swimming world, and it was definitely like it was a big change getting here.
And I'm sure now that has completely changed for you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Now that I'm getting to know a lot of other people on different teams, and I think that's the stuff you get. Um, that's what I can appreciate a lot about swimming is maybe in other sports you don't have much time to chat with other guys, make those connections. But in swim, you're really only fully competing for 20 seconds to like 10 minutes, depending on your race. And then the rest of the time you're warming up, cooling down. You have some time to socialize with people, I'd say.
Yeah, that's what makes swimming different and like special is that swim community and being part of just a swimmer itself. Like I'm sure that you have appreciation for anyone that has ever done it. And I'm sure I don't know if you can necessarily point out swimmers and you're like that person definitely swam. Some people you might be able to, but I'm sure there's that appreciation, that community that truly is a reason why you love the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to kind of point out a swimmer because you find so many different builds in the sport of swimming. Like you can find, I feel like generally they're a bit taller, but also that could just be an athletics thing. I feel like a lot of athletes are just generally taller. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like football where you can point out like, oh, that guy probably played football in college. Um, but yeah, it's definitely speaking on the community, like any swimmer or former swimmer that I've talked to, it's like automatically just like that. It's like you have a conversation starter and you're just in that community with them. So
Yeah, which I love is just that community. Like you can talk, like you said, you can talk to any swimmer and you just have that connection there. And it's a sport that obviously, depending on where you are, like there's obviously more support on specific like states like Indiana. You also have your Texases, Floridas, but then also different parts of the state as well. Like for West Michigan, like it's a huge thing in West Michigan is continuing to go. And speaking of it, before I kind of like wrap up here with like this question, maybe one last question, like why should people like give swim a chance? Because I feel like it's one of those sports that while it's not the most popular in winter because you obviously have like basketball,
mhm.
you don't really see a ton of people giving it a chance later on in life. It's been families, it's been people that have started at a young age. Like, why should people just give the sport a try? Like, do you think there's anything like holding people back from it? Or do you think it's more of just like, it's just not known what it's like to be on it without doing it for a while?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I think it goes a bit underappreciated because one, not only doing the sport is very good for you, I would say two, the sports, I would say it's pretty fun to watch. I mean, obviously, I'm a little biased because I'm a swimmer myself, but I think that it kind of goes underappreciated. And one, the health factors, and two, the entertainment. Obviously, Olympics swim is like one of the most watched sports, but other than that, you don't really see any huge viewership there. Um, yeah, I think a lot of times with swimmers, you get it. It's almost legacy based, where like, okay, my parents swim, so I'll swim. Or it's like you don't get many people just trying it for the first time. Um, and I feel like we need more of that. You need more people just kind of signing up for summer leagues, signing up for rec teams, because it's super good for you joint wise, and it's also just like it's a good challenge. I think its difficulty goes unnoticed quite a bit. I've had plenty of people tell me it's the hardest sport you can train and compete in. Um, so that may deter people from it as well. But I think a lot of it kind of just flies under the radar because it's not necessarily like a big four sport.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the main part of it is you have the attention to it every 4, 6 years, depending on like the Olympics. When the Olympics is the trials as well. The trials are going to be in Indianapolis for 2028. Like before I like, is that like a goal for you to make it to trials? Like, is that way too far in the future? Like, obviously, like when it comes to that time, that's going to be towards the end of your college career. Is that like you're like, if I get there, like I'm thrilled, not really thinking about that as of this point?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm Canadian. I'm a dual citizen. So I actually compete at the Canadian meets.
Okay.
Um, so I've been to Canadian trials before, and I mean, my graduation year lines up really well, obviously, with Olympic year. I graduate in 2028. Um, so that's a blessing in itself that I'll be kind of peak physical condition when trials roll around. So we'll see, honestly, where Texas A&M takes me. Obviously, there's the big goals of it's like, okay, well, I'm looking at it right now, and there's some spots open up that I think I could take advantage of. Um, but it just really depends. I'm trying to take it kind of one day at a time. Definitely have the big goals and aspirations, but you got to do what it takes to get there first.
Exactly. You gotta put in the time, you gotta put in the effort, you gotta put in the thousands of yards added
Oh,
up because you might not be swimming 6, 7, 8,000 yards like distance swimmers are, but you're swimming from time to time, probably like I said, thousands to hundreds of thousands of yards. But hopefully, we see you representing. I'm assuming Team Canada at the 2028 Olympics. I don't know. You
see,
said you're
well,
dual citizens, so you got the choice, which is great.
yeah.
But hopefully, we'll see you representing Team Canada in 2028. That would be really cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's 2028's a while away. But yeah, I mean, that would definitely be super cool to have that opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely a long time away. You definitely still have quite a while left to go at Texas at A&M. One last question before we kind of wrap up. Obviously, 3 years left to go. You still have big aspirations ahead of you. Let's just say we're having this conversation in 3 years. You're heading to your let's say you're heading into your senior year, you're just done your senior year. What are you hoping to be remembered for? Like, is it the accomplishments? Is it All Americans? Is it the national championships? Or is it truly more of like, I want to be like, those things are great, obviously. Like, you would love to have them, like, you have one already. Or is it more of just like the type of person that you are and the leader that you were, like the impact that you had? Like, what's your legacy that you want to have in a couple of years? I know that's a difficult question because it's years out. You still have a while to go, but it's a long term question that I'm sure that you probably had some thought about.
Yeah, I would agree with you that those kind of accolades that you get are obviously good. You'd rather have them than not have them. So those are obviously goals for myself. I want to rack up as many of those as I can. I want to be the best athlete that I can, but yeah, definitely there are bigger things to being a college athlete than just the accolades. I think obviously I'm just a sophomore right now, so not necessarily the age of a team captain, but I think that's one of my aspirations. I want to lead by example. I think that's something that is super important in not only captains but just leaders in general. Um, yeah, to be remembered for kind of my work ethic and um my attitude and kind of like I said obsession with the sport. I think that would be like, okay, goal complete. That's been my huge goal throughout the whole thing is just um continue with that love of the sport and be remembered for that.
Awesome. I love that. I think that's a really great mindset to have. I really do hope you get to obviously achieve being a captain during your time, get to achieve the goal that you want to be remembered for, being a good teammate, being someone that puts in a ton of effort. But I also do hope you get to achieve like the All-Americans, national champion, maybe hopefully Olympian. Like those are great things to have. And maybe this is a discussion that we can have again in a couple of years. Obviously, you're always welcome back. Would love to have you back on. But I really
Mhm.
appreciate you joining
Yeah,
today. I hope you had fun.
yeah, it's been great to be here. We can definitely do the rejoin, reshoot episode maybe in the future. We'll see how everything goes. We can check up again. But yeah, it's been great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining. And like I said, good luck this year. Good luck in the next couple of years. Good luck to the Aggies this year. Also, good luck to the football team as well. I'm sure you're really excited for that game. But yeah, I will give you the rest of your day back. I know we have NFL starting in 2 minutes, so I'll definitely
Yes.
be tuning into that. But yeah, no, thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. It's been
Yeah.
a ton of fun.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too. Also, that is a wrap to episode number 487. Thank you again to Ben for joining and tune in to the next episode.